It was supposed to be a special day, a day where my daughter, Lily, would celebrate turning 10, a milestone, the beginning of double digits. We had planned everything to the smallest detail. The decorations were up, the music was playing, and the backyard was transformed into a rainbow of balloons and streamers. Friends, family, and even a few neighbors had arrived, all ready for the celebration. The centerpiece, of course, was the beautiful, 3-layered birthday cake I had spent hours decorating with love. Lily's favorite colors, pink, purple, and gold, adorned every inch of it. And then, she showed up. HOA Karen. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her, the self-proclaimed queen of our little cul-de-sac, who made sure to remind us all that she was the one who had perfected suburban living. She had that piercing voice that could freeze you in your tracks, and that look in her eyes that made you feel like you were constantly being judged. I never invited her to our events, but she always found her way in, sometimes like a shadow, quietly criticizing and always looking for something to complain about. That day, she arrived uninvited, but there was nothing I could do. She wasn't the type of person to let little things like invitations get in her way. She marched into our yard with her usual air of superiority, eyes darting around with thinly veiled disdain. "Nice setup," she muttered, not quite looking at me, but her eyes taking in the decor with an expression that suggested it was all beneath her. Then her gaze fell upon the cake, the centerpiece, the very thing that had cost me so much time, effort, and a fair amount of money to create. And that's when it happened. Without a word of warning, HOA Karen reached forward and smashed her hand right into the middle of the cake, ruining it in an instant. The icing splattered across the table, and the layers collapsed. A gasp of shock rippled through the party. I froze for a second, my heart racing, and I heard Lily's voice crack from behind me. "Mom, my cake!" Before I could react, HOA Karen turned and gave me a self-satisfied smirk. "Well, I just didn't think it looked very stable. Maybe next time, you should get a professional to do it. Kids these days are too soft with their decorations." My hands clenched into fists. The anger was boiling inside me, but I took a deep breath. I had a child to protect. But what I didn't realize in that moment, what Karen didn't realize, was that my daughter, Lily, was not a child to be underestimated. Lily had always been different, not in a bad way, but in a way that made people underestimate her quiet strength. She was reserved, often spending her time reading or drawing, but she had a fierce spirit that only came out when it mattered most. Her quietness, the soft-spoken words, the gentle smile, they were all part of the armor she wore. And today, she was about to shed that armor. "Karen," Lily's voice rang out, steady and unshaken. I turned to see my daughter walking towards HOA. Karen, her small form steady with a fire in her eyes. I saw the transformation. It was as if a switch had been flipped inside her. She had grown up in the face of challenges. And today, she wasn't about to let anyone ruin her special day, not even HOA Karen. Lily reached for the biggest piece of cake that had fallen to the ground. She scooped it up carefully, her hands steady. With a look that sent a shiver down my spine, she held it up to HOA Karen, who was too taken aback to move. "I'm sorry," Lily said coolly, her tone calm but fierce. "You dropped my cake. Let me help you clean up." Before Karen could respond, Lily smeared the ruined piece of cake directly into HOA Karen's face. The crowd gasped in stunned silence. Karen stood frozen, cake dripping from her face, eyes wide with disbelief. For a moment, the backyard was silent, as if time itself had stopped. Then, one by one, the guests erupted in laughter. Some cheered, others clapped, but most of all, there was a collective sense of relief. "Lily," I said, my voice full of pride, "that was brilliant." Karen wiped the cake from her face, furious, but no one paid her any attention. She stormed off, her heels clicking angrily on the pavement, muttering something about ruining her reputation. But the party wasn't ruined. In fact, it became even more memorable. Lily, my quiet, thoughtful daughter, had shown everyone exactly what she was capable of. Not with violence or anger, but with confidence, poise, and the courage to stand up for herself when it mattered. As the party went on, the cake was replaced with laughter, games, and love. Lily's friends surrounded her, telling her how awesome she was. She beamed, proud of what she had done, but mostly proud of the fact that she had stood up for herself in a way no one had expected. And as for HOA Karen, well, she never showed her face at our parties again.